Right, we're going to work on the Shotgun Footlock first, right? So we'll work on controls, and then we'll work on little problems that might arise, and we'll work on finishes, and then maybe some chains from there. Alright, so anyone that's maybe trained with me or even hasn't, the way I kind of like to do is we start off nice and slow, and then every few minutes we just kind of like drip feed information, and then we keep, like say, drilling on the mat, and then anything comes up we just keep building and building until we get like a nice little sequence and even a couple of chains of the Shotgun Footlock. So we'll just work from the double guard pull or double seated position, just to kind of make it a bit easier, and then we can talk about entries and that. So say both of us are kind of in this seated position. So ideally what we want to do is get like say 1 foot in, and we can have 2 feet in, or we can have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It doesn't really matter too much, but what we're going to do is I'm going to get like an Achilles grip, and then I cover the shoelaces then with my second hand. And what I want to do here for control is I want to glue my chest to the sole of the foot here. Alright, and then I'm using my left leg to kind of like separate the legs, so I can even put my foot on the far knee here, and then I'm going to do a pass off, so where I bring the leg from the center to the outside here. As you can see, I have an up grip, I switch to an overhook, and then I get my figure 4 here. For control, what we want to do is we want to go with a deep grip. So what I mean by this is, if you all remember the kid in school that used to bulge their biceps for the pictures to make their biceps look bigger, what we're going to do is we're going to bulge our bicep around the ankle here. Alright, so we know that there's no space. This second hand is actually really important as well, and it's kind of, sometimes people just lock their hands and don't really think too much about this left hand. But this left hand is very, very important for like making it harder for your opponent to turn their knee inwards. So if they try to turn their knee inwards, you can see it's harder. And I'm also bracing my elbow off my knee here until I get my legs into position. So all we're going to do for now is we're going to drop to our right hip. We're going to keep our hips away from our opponent's hips. So unlike single leg X, where we want to get like say close, we want to get good hip connection. What we want is we want separation. And the reason for this is my right foot is going to turn into a butterfly hook, and my goal is to control the knee. And then my second leg, which is the Ashi leg, that's going to go to the outside here. Common mistake what people make is they drop down through the shoulder. So just for now, what we're going to do is we're going to stay up on our elbow here. All I want you to do is you don't have to think too much about finishing. Your partner's just going to try to wiggle out a little bit, trying to free their leg, try to pull their leg out, and then we'll start to build from here. So we'll do this one more time. So again, we can go 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or 2 feet inside. So it's really up to you, wherever you feel comfortable with. So I'm going to take this Achilles grip, get my shoelace grip, and then I glue this to my chest here. And then a lot of the resistance, as you all know, is going to come from the second leg. So a good thing you can do here is just kind of be prepared for your opponent to use this second leg. This is going to buy us time to pass the leg to the outside. I have an up grip, I switch to an overhook, we bulge the bicep, we take a figure 4, we're pushing in with the hands, so we're keeping the knee at least up to the sky, or turning outwards rather than inwards. And I'm bracing my elbow off of my knee here. So if you try kind of free your leg a little bit, I have good control, and I'm monitoring that leg. What I then do is I drop to my hip, but I stay up to my elbow. I get my right foot into position, so that's my butterfly hook. And how we're going to finish this drill is we just get the Ashi hook on the outside. So now if Danny tries to free the leg, I have decent control here before I can start working my finish. Alright, so 3, 2, 1. Just a couple more details. So when we have this shotgun grip, make sure that just on this finish and this control, you should be able to see daylight between your bicep and your training partner's ankle, and say like your rib cage and your partner's ankle. So we're going with a deep grip. Alright, so with a lot of straight footlocks, you can see that you can use like say a shallow grip where you go with the wrist on the Achilles, and both of them are very good. So it kind of comes down to your body type and the leg locks that you kind of like to do. So let's say for example, if you go with like say like a more of a traditional type finish, we call a shallow grip. All right, it can be tighter, but generally there's a little bit more space rather than, you know, as regards when we go to a figure 4 grip. When we glue this to our chest and then we upgrade these grips in a couple of minutes, it's going to get tighter. The way I kind of like to look at this is, if you look at no arm guillotines and arm in guillotines, like say generally no arm guillotines, like high elbow guillotines, can be tighter, but the control is less, so people can scramble. Whereas arm in guillotines sometimes aren't as tight, they can still be very tight, but like if someone kind of spins or does like a heartbreak roll, you can kind of like get up on top or roll through again. So that's why I kind of like to look at this Shotgun Footlock compared to say your regular kind of straight footlock, but both of them are very good. Alright, so no daylight, so that should be the first thing. And I'm trying to bring my hands as far as I can down towards the ankle. So obviously there's three joints in the leg: the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So because we've literally started from the bottom up, we want to make sure we control the first joint, which is the ankle. All right. The second joint that we want to control is the knee. All right. And then the third joint is the hip here. All right, so and all of these have a specific job. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm flaring my knee out. I'm trying to root 3 points of contact in the ground, so pinky, big toe, and heel are in the ground, so that's my frame. The foot is, I'm putting pressure outwards on the knee here. All right, and my hand is also doing the same, so I'm pushing out with my hand here. So if you try turn in, you can turn that way. Now I've good control. Common mistake what people do on the finish is they drop to their shoulder. Don't drop to your shoulder. Put your shoulder over the line of your elbow, all right, until you come to a point before you collapse to the floor. Once this happens, I want to create tension in the leg. So the way I do this is I tense my own legs, I push with my left leg. So I'm trying to, like, imagine if this is my training partner's hip, I'm trying to open up their hip, trying to open up their knee and open up their ankle. So if you look at like an elastic band, we want to get a good stretch on an elastic band, so it'll be easier to obviously break that elastic band. All right, so stretch with your left leg, push out with your right leg, and then this ankle, think about removing the ankle from the joint here. All right, shoulder goes down towards the elbow. Sorry, I'll go easy. Shoulder goes down over the elbow, I should say, and then my shoulder goes backwards to get the finish. So shoulders going back and hips are coming up. Nearly like the same mechanics you do on an arm bar. Your head go back, then your hips come up first. All right, so let's play around with those details and then we'll add in a few more. So 3, 2, 1. So make sure when we're looking for this leg lock, we're trying to get our forearm as close as we can down towards the heel. All right, we don't want to go past the heel because then we lose the foot, and we don't want to go too high because we're on the bulk of the calf. So we want to be like, say, literally at the bottom of the Achilles, just before the heel. All right, so we're here, no space. So do a checklist. So when we're in this leg lock position, we're starting, right, what's the control and what's the grips that we have on the ankle. So we're going with this deep kind of like overhook grip, and I'm taking a figure 4 grip here. All right, and there's no space. I'm keeping the second leg away from me. Remember, I want my hips away from Danny's hips, and my goal is to get this foot as close as I can to the knee, because now we've ticked all the boxes here at the ankle. We're working from the ground up. We're going to look at what we need to control the knee. And what we're doing in this position is we're going as close as we can with our foot to our training partner's knee, and we're turning the knee outwards the best we can. All right, so it's like kind of like near like invisible jiu-jitsu. Then when the control that we're using on the hip for this one is the ashi leg position. So some people like the back heel. I like to put 3 points of contact on the ground, so pinky, big toe, heel, and I'm flaring this knee out. All right, try get this foot as close as you can to the knee. I'm staying up on the point of my elbow. My shoulder, when I send my shoulder down towards the floor without touching it on the floor, what I'm trying to do is connect my bicep to the ankle and connect my rib cage to the ankle on the opposite side. So I should be putting a lot of pressure here. All right, my shoulder is going back, but where I'm kind of visualizing that kind of pressure is kind of shoulder towards the big toe here. All right, once the shoulder goes towards the big toe and the head goes back, that's when my hips come up in the air a lot while we're keeping that tension in the leg. So take the slack out of the leg. That's so important. Shoulder down, shoulder back towards the big toe, head goes back, and hips come up to get the finish. All right, so let's just play around with that for another 2 minutes, and then we're going to upgrade the grip. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Work on just upgrading the grip a little bit, just to make it a little bit tighter, just in case it's not. Without us going into the leg position yet, what I want to show you is if we get this figure 4 grip here, right, and if you can see where my left forearm is and say where my stomach or my chest is, there's a little bit of space here. All right, so what we want to do is we want to break the ankle or cause, like, say, a lot of pressure or pain at the ankle. So we want to get as close as we can to the ankle joint with our arms. All right, so what we want to do is basically draw our hands in as close as we can to our chest, because if you have space here, there's obviously more kind of wiggle room where they can start to escape. So we draw everything in towards the body, and we're going to make it even tighter. So this right hand here, so my top hand, basically I open up my hand, I slide the bottom hand through even deeper, and instead of us going with a regular kind of Kimura figure 4 grip, we're going to go with a false grip here, and this is going to make it, like, say, even tighter. So we're here, we get our leg into position, foot goes to the floor. A little detail that I kind of like to use sometimes is we talked about self-framing in the beginning. So it's like when I have this figure 4 grip, I'm framing off my knee with my elbow. But what I can also do is I can use this butterfly grip when I need to, for control, to frame off the ashi grip. All right, and then if I need to put more pressure on the knee, I can obviously let this go. But this kind of keeps this as a stronger frame. So if you try kind of collapse that frame a little bit, it's a lot stronger. All right, so that's a little detail for you. So how we upgrade this grip is basically we lift the hand and we draw the bottom hand in here. Same mechanics. shoulder goes down towards the floor, then the shoulder goes back towards the big toe, the head follows, and then the hips follow the head to get the tap. All right, so let's play around with those details. So 3, 2, 1. Right, so there's a couple of different positions that you need to be able to finish this particular footlock in. So one is basically where we go side on, what we just worked, so on our outside hip. So I'm on my right hip. All right, we need to know how to finish belly down. So if our training partner tries to bail out and they throw their leg over, we need to be able to have belly down finishes. We need to be able to finish on our inside hip. So this is a really common reaction, is someone is going to try put their weight on the right side and build up on their right knee. They're going to go into half kneeling, so from here. So we're doing a side on finish, but we're finishing with our inside hip. All right, and then there's also, if your training partner tries to turn their knee outwards, here we need to have belly up finishes. All right, so side on with our outside hip, side on with our inside hip, belly up, belly down. All right, so and there might be variations in between. So what we'll do is we'll work on the finish on the inside hip position. So I'll just spin around this one here so you can see. So we have our shotgun grip, legs are in position. Our training partner does the right thing, they roll over to their right knee and they start to build from this half kneeling position. So what they're really looking to do from here is they're looking to put weight on their left leg so they can kind of stand up. So if you kind of stand more in towards me instead of bailing out, say here, and just stand on your left leg, here. All right, so maybe if you, can you do it to me? You put me into it. You can't tap me though, because well, you can if you want. So. Right, so yeah, so here, feeling pressure, open up the knee, coming to my right side and trying to kick through. And then what we're trying to look to do from here is fight the feet and then work from these kind of situations, right? So how we're going to kind of, I suppose, shut this down when they build up. So we'll just do it one more time. So say I'm here, and you can see what I want to do is I want to basically get my left foot to the floor so I can kind of stand up on my right leg, and I want to get my chest and my head over my training partner's chest and head. All right, so knowing that, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of counter that. So we'll go semi then, but I'll be doing the footlock. So again, we build up on our right knee. As soon as our partner comes up on their knee, we'll deal with when they stand up in a few minutes, right? So they're on their knee. What I want to do is turn my hips towards my training partner, and this right leg and left leg becomes really important. So what I want to do is I want to use these as frames to keep my partner's head and chest away. So my partner tries to come forward, you can see I'm keeping pressure here. All right, they stand up in the leg, we have off balances and different leg locks. We can work from here. A little bit different now to the last one. So what I want to do is my right foot is pushing off my left foot. I'm creating tension to stop them getting chest to chest or head over head. And with my right knee, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the knee inwards, all right? Because if they turn the knee outwards, there's different kind of escapes they can do. And also it helps with the finish. All right, so I'm closing my knee down. We get a figure 4 grip, exact same mechanics. So I'm going to bring my shoulder back towards my toe, close the knee in, and then what I do is I hip up to get the tap. Or I should say I get my shoulder back towards Danny's toe. Shoulder goes back, sorry, knee goes in, and what I do is I hip up to get the finish. All right, so 3, 2, 1. We have our figure 4 grip again, legs are in good position, so we have the butterfly hook, we have the ashy leg position. Danny goes over to her right knee and builds up in this position here. The first thing I want to talk about is, like, say, my positioning. I want to be like nearly like in a hollow rock position. So Danny like kind of doing like gymnastic movements or CrossFit style stuff. There's like a hollow rock kind of position that is a really strong position for, like, say, just movement in general. So I'm not lazy. You know, my right shoulder is on the floor. I'm like concave in my shoulders, so rounded shoulders. And if my training partner tries to push forward, this is going to be hard for them. So what they want is they want to kind of get like their foot to the floor, their left leg to the floor. They want to maybe get chest to chest, head over head, or whatever it might be. But what they really want to do to my body is basically they want to put my right shoulder on the floor. So if Danny drives forward, this isn't a great leg position. Like, say, regardless of what way Danny wants to counter this or pass, right? This is bad for me. So knowing that, we just kind of go back there again. I want to keep this right shoulder and right hip off the floor in this good, strong collar up position. All right, so we were talking about self-framing. So this is similar to self-framing, but what we're going to do now is this left hand, instead of, like, say, framing on my elbow like we did in that outside leg position, we're going to frame off the floor. and I'm going to turn this knee up here. So if Danny tries to turn her knee down or whatever it might be, I've good control in this position. So anytime my elbow can touch the floor, I'm going to use it. So this is a strong frame here, and I'm using upward pressure here, and I'm also creating pressure then with my knee on Danny's knee, and we're stretching. The last thing I want to talk about is your top leg. All right, you want to be connecting as much of your ankle and your shoelaces and your toes to your training partner's kind of hip, rib cage, and back. Because the less of that, the more chance you can get caught by a heel hook. So if Danny kind of reaches back there, she might be able to get a bite on a heel hook. Whereas if I get more connection, so I slide this down, she tries to do it now, this is a lot harder. At least I'll be able to see it coming. Alright, so they're the details you want to focus on. So 3, 2, 1. Just a little detail when you have you say your second hand. So your second hand is the one that's not wrapped around, say, your training partner's ankle. So say my left hand, if say Danny tries to build up on her right knee here, like my left hand, say this is more like, say this is a control hand. Alright, say my right hand is going to do the bulk of the finishing. So like what people will do in this position, if they can't kick their leg to the floor and say counter the way we talked about, like getting chest over the chest, they'll try to get their knee down towards the floor and then they'll start to bail out. They might spin and do all this kind of stuff. Alright, that does expose the heel for outside heel hooks. If you can upgrade your leg position quick enough and get, like, say, a good bite on the hip, you can finish the outside heel hook, which we'll talk about as well. But just be mindful. Say this is the control hand. I'm trying to keep this knee pointing towards the wall for this finish. All right. I don't want the knee to go down towards the floor because now we're losing kind of like leverage to get the finish. All right. So I'm keeping this knee here. So if Danny tries to turn her knee down, you can see him here. And when I kind of turn this knee up, then I can start to bring my hand back if I need to and close my knee inwards. All right, so it's going to be hard obviously to turn the knee up and close the knee. So what I want you to do is when you need to control, so when you see this knee coming down, we're using this grip. So if you try to put your knee down, Danny, we're just pulling this up here, then we're sliding our hands back, closing the knee and doing the same finish mechanics we talked about. All right, so 3, 2, 1. We're going to do like a positional round. So we're going to do 2 positions where our training partner, we won't go like say full positional. Think more like active drilling where it's like 50-60% resistance from the person that's defending. Alright, so remember the goal is to try to get better at this footlock. So 2 positions. One we're going to work is the outside leg position, so or sorry, working with the outside hip. So let's go butterfly hook. You can go a foot on the knee, you can go a foot on the hip, you can go a foot across, wherever you want to work. Alright, so maybe if you're a little bit more advanced, maybe just kind of start here, so foot on the knee, have your butterfly hook in position, maybe a figure 4 grip. Alright, so that's our first position, and then the second one when we change is when our training partner builds up onto their right knee. So we're in this kind of like half kneeling position here, so you can be on the foot, on the hip, wherever you want to be. Alright, so just to make sure that we're getting the finishing mechanics down, and then if your partner starts to defend in a certain way, if you have questions then we'll ask and see if we figure it out with us. Alright, so 3, 2, 1. You had a question, did you?
Yeah, so whenever you're on the second position,
yeah,
you're trying to spin over to your left side.
Yeah.
I nearly felt like my arm was
getting caught.
It wasn't letting me roll over because I'm putting pressure on this side.
Okay.
You nearly let go and.
Can we have a look? We'll just see it and I'll try to do it then with Danny.
Yeah. He rolled in, and then he was basically keeping the leg locked. So I'm trying to turn, but because I have the pressure on here, that my own pressure stopped me from rolling over. So I felt like I had to let go to turn it.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll give you a little detail on it. So remember, so it's your opponent's or training partner's momentum that brings you from your right hip to your left hip. Like anytime you want to do a roll, say if you want to catch, like say maybe an inside heel hook when someone spins, you know, you look over your shoulder and you catch the heel. Maybe if you're in the saddle or something like that, you want to go into like more of a rounded position when you want to roll. So if we've like elbows flared, knees flared, then you know, it might be a little bit harder for me to get like kind of a smooth roll. So it'd probably be easier to show you, right? So say when we're here, say like what? So if you try going to your side, all I'm doing is I'm coming to here and then I'm pushing. But when I'm pushing Danny away and I'm kind of pushing my hips away at the same time. Alright, so it's just that small little movement. So if we kind of come back, so I'll exaggerate, my knees are to my chest, we're over to our right side, and you can see when Danny goes over to our right side, I'm on my right hip, left hip, and then I extend. That's how I get to this hip here.
See from there, if Danny tries to push you back with left at you.
So what's Danny doing, sorry?
If she's trying to go put the weight on your left leg there,
this leg here.
And you try to go from there.
Yeah.
Same thing, push his hips out there.
Yeah, so I'm trying to move Danny, and then I'm moving my hip as well, my left hip. Makes sense. It's only a small little movement, but it's the difference with which you keep in good shape or not. So we just go back one more time, Danny, onto that right hip. So we're here. See, I have such good connection here and good control. When Danny goes up to her right knee, I should be able to roll, and I push, and I'm scooting my left hip out here. All right. Does that answer that? Yeah. Yeah. And then we're controlling this knee, keeping this knee up, and we can adjust this if we need to. But we have to play between control. So see, we're using these frames, and then if I want to go for the finish, I can always close the knee, or what I can do is I can flare the knee here with the foot, and we can go into similar type of finish. But either way, we want control and pressure on the knee. We don't want the knee wobbling, same as the way if you're doing heel hooks. We want to take away movement, so I'm using my knee to close, or I'm using my butterfly hook to flare. So you can kind of play between that and see what works best for you. I'll talk about one more kind of knee position that comes up when you're doing the shotgun footlock in this position, and then we'll move on then, right? So when we work this on our left hip again, so our inside hip. So Danny builds up onto her knee here. What we want, say, for a good finish for this shotgun footlock is we want the knee facing the wall. All right. If the knee goes down towards the floor, it's not the best for this type of finish. We can always use our second hand, turn the knee up, and then we can go back into our finish. If the knee goes down towards the floor, we can always switch to outside heel hooks. All right. But another common kind of reaction that you're going to get is your partner will try to turn their knee outside to pull their leg out here. But this encourages the Aoki lock if you're quick enough. And the Aoki lock, in my opinion, that's a super tight finish, and it's something that you should have in your game, or at least be aware of if you don't play it, right? So let's say Danny feels maybe there's a bit of space. She tries for her to pull her heel out, she needs to turn her knee outwards. All right. So for Danny to kind of bail out, say like to do spinning attacks, Danny needs to turn her knee down. All right, so that's why it's really important that when we're in this position, we're doing the setup, we're able to control the knee in different ways. All right, so if Danny, for whatever reason, is able to turn the knee out or bring the heel out, we keep the toes inside. You have a couple of different grips here. Some people like to go with the rear naked choke grip. That's the one that I used to really like. For now, I kind of like to go with stay with the figure 4 grip, and we're going to do the exact, similar mechanics as what we did, but we're just going to add in a little bit more rotation. So again, we're creating tension in the leg, so I'm trying to stretch the hip joint here, stretching the knee, I'm taking the slack out of the whole leg, all right, closing the knee inwards, and now I'm going to bring my shoulder back, head back, I hip up, and then what I do is I get some rotation in by bringing my left elbow up towards the sky to get the tap. All right, so it's a super tight finish, so kind of be careful on this one. So again, our training partner can't bring their knee down, so they try to bring their knee up and pull the leg out. You can go with the rear naked choke grip, or you can go with this figure 4 grip. We create tension in the leg, close the knee, and all we can do now is add in some rotation to get the finish. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Yeah, so hopefully you got something from that. I tried to do something for everyone. So say if the shotgun footlock can be used for white belts all the way up to black belt, all competitions, all kind of rule sets. Yeah, thanks a million for having me. I appreciate it, and we'll set a clock and we'll get some rounds going. Yeah.